Hi, welcome back. As you know, my name is Jackie Wangari. I'm the host of 9 to 5 with Wangari, where we talk about everything like the 9 to 5, the corporate space. We talk the good, the bad, the ugly. And again, this platform is both for the employees and the employers. Today, I have a super exciting guest. He's back again. He was talking about staff engagement. Now we're going to be talking about something I'm super passionate about, culture. So yeah, karibuni, Julian, and let's talk about culture. One of my favorite
Yeah,
topics.
thanks for having me again.
Anytime.
Yeah. And thanks for tuning in again.
Yeah, cool. So we're talking about culture today. How would you describe culture?
Wow, yeah, it's a big word. Maybe how do you describe culture? Maybe let me.
Okay. Culture to me is like belief or value systems that kind of like mandate how we work together, whether it's like in a family setup, at the work setup, friends. So it's just like, what's your value? What's my value? How do we
Yeah,
communicate? And yeah, how does that look? So
absolutely. Yeah,
did I get to try it?
no, that's definitely a very strong definition of it. And I think most people know what culture is
Yeah.
in general. And I think like how people say there's cultural dances. So there's that piece in terms of traditions and habits and practices
Yeah.
and rituals, as it were. I think more recently, one of the better definitions I've heard of culture, and this is specific to the work environment, is how decisions are made.
Okay.
The culture is how you make the process
Decision.
to which you make decisions.
Decisions.
And at first, it seemed very okay. That's just one perspective, but the more you sit with it, you begin to realize culture is how when someone makes a mistake, what happens next.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's a culture. Do you shout at them? Do you threaten to fire them? Do you support them? Do you try and investigate what happened? Do you help them work through it? So those are the things that begin to form a culture. When you show up at work late, what happens at that point? That's why people say, "How is the culture of that place?" It's very easygoing. So what does easygoing mean? It means even if you're a little late, it's not a big deal as long as you're meeting your targets. Culture is how do people talk and relate with each other.
Yep.
Culture, can I walk up and enter the boss's office without an appointment? So, but if there is a PA, a secretary, an executive assistant, before you access the boss, all those are decision points. So it means there's a culture of bureaucracy, a culture of protocol. So I think culture touches how you form your systems,
Yep.
how you create the environment for working, and it's basically what you believe in. So if you work in an organization where, like I had some time engaging with people in the disciplined forces, and I remember one time, and you can imagine for me as a communications person, I want things to move quickly, decisions made,
Yeah.
speed is everything.
Yeah.
But when you work with these organizations, the protocol is insane. So you say like, hey, can we change this meeting from 2 to 4 because I need to do 1, 2, 3 things? They tell you,
Oh
man,
no.
now to change that meeting, they attempted to explain to me. They said we have to write a letter now back to our directors.
Oh wow.
Yeah, then the director authorizes that the meeting can move.
Yeah.
Then it goes now to the scheduling person. Scheduling person now changes the timing, sends physical memos to all the officers,
Physical.
physical memos
Wow.
for them to come. And I was saying that doesn't even make sense and all. Then they said, now in government, the reason it's that way, so that someone can't say they were not aware. They didn't receive the memo because there are certain processes. If certain officers are not in the room, the process is illegal
Yeah.
because of how regulated. So in government, bureaucracy is a good thing. In the
Okay.
military, bureaucracy is a good thing.
Okay.
So just to give an example, it's a tragic example, but if you recall one of the attacks we had at Westgate,
Yeah.
many arms of government, everyone was trying to do the right thing, just
Yes.
try and help out.
Yeah.
But because there was no bureaucracy at play, we shot at each other. A lot of the criminals got away.
Yeah.
But when Dusit happened, the reason it was handled so well
Yeah.
because of extreme bureaucracy. Only one person was authorized to give instructions.
Interesting.
Only one department was allowed to access the venue. Only one person was allowed to declare, now this department, paramedics can move in. So bureaucracy has its place. So people think bureaucracy is an evil, bad thing.
Yeah.
But bureaucracy is good in banking. If it wasn't, you'd be going and find your money And he said, you didn't write a check. You didn't go to the ATM. So
Get
why
you.
does government have that process or banking or that? So it's not always bad.
Yeah.
The problem comes now when you take the bureaucracy and try and apply it to human situations. So I come and tell you now, I'm having a stomachache. I'd like to go home. No. Now you need to go see your line manager first.
Yeah.
But my stomach is paining now.
now.
You're here. I need to go to hospital. They say, no, the protocol is tell your line manager. So you're wondering, is the line manager, will they validate it's a real stomachache? And the line manager is not a
How do they
doctor.
validate?
Anyway,
Exactly, yeah.
so it's now that's when it becomes a problem. Or to me, when your culture is a problem, is when your systems are not supporting your goals.
Okay, I love that.
Yeah. So when your systems are not supporting your goals.
Yeah.
So you wonder, why are people slow in this organization?
Yeah.
So you'll say we have a culture of laziness,
Or
a
slowness.
culture of slowness.
Yeah.
So that's a culture. But see, that's a habit and a ritual, but it has come from somewhere.
Yeah.
It could be driven by an individual who just tends to be slow or who likes to counter check everything 25 times.
Yeah.
So you need to find out why.
Yeah.
So like in the health industry, it's kind of counterintuitive. On one hand, they have to act with speed because it's a matter of life and death.
Yeah.
However, if you're too fast, you might also give the wrong medication, make the wrong decision.
Yeah.
So they have also certain protocols. Like if there are certain processes or procedures, they'll say, and you see it nowadays, you'll find to do certain procedures, one other doctor has to sign off. Or two nurses have to be in the room.
Yeah.
And there's a reason they do that, because they know doctors are human, they're tired, they might read some symptoms wrong. So that's why all these systems are created. But the problem would be if you have a foolproof system of giving medication, but everyone dies and it never gets around to getting the medication, then there's a problem there. So culture is all these things combined. So it looks at processes, it looks at operations, it looks at environment, physical. It looks at environment, emotional. That's why people talk about, we've all seen the videos and photos of Google offices. They have water slides. They have food available all day. They have loungers. You can take a nap. So immediately you enter, you realize this is not your normal office.
Workspace, yeah.
However, if you jump perhaps to maybe an IBM, or a more kind of traditional structured company, you'll enter, because the bulk of the work is engineering. There's no room for error, because a small error will cost money, has a big implication on their product. So software may be slightly different. It's more fun, it's playful, you can tweak it anytime. However, I would not want to go to the people who manufacture the brakes for our cars, and then when we enter, it looks like the Google offices. I'll be saying, hey, these guys, but I want to enter and see test assembly lines. I want to see crash tests. Then I'll say, that's right. This culture, there's no room for error. Because if there's an error, it's a problem. But if you're doing a software industry, maybe you're in media, maybe you're in a civil society organization, maybe you're an events company and you organize parties for people. If at the company it is so serious, there's no you're going to make a fun product. So to me, always look at what industry you're in, what business you're in. Some businesses demand that professionalism in terms of that formal space. Others want that informality because of the nature of the work you do. I don't think I would hire a DJ who comes in a suit and gives me a form and says, before you begin, please sign off an NDA, then sign off for the music we're going to play. I'll be like, man, do you know how to get a party started? I'm not sure. However, if I'm opening a bank account and they tell me, you guy, my guy, Bupitia here, just come through. Just give me your ID. I'll holler back. Hey, I'm not sure I'm giving them my money. So culture is never good or bad.
Yes.
As long as it's serving your needs.
Okay.
That's the important thing. So I think sometimes people vilify organizations that are bureaucratic and say, that place is so stuck up, it's so stiff. If it's impacting on the product, your services, your staff engagement, then it has a problem. However, there are also people who thrive in such environments.
Yeah, exactly. Some people are born to be bureaucratic.
Exactly, So you'll find like people in engineering spaces, construction, project management. If you come with that loose, that vague, abstract space, they will not have that clarity. They will not be clear on their purpose, so they struggle. But if you're in the creative industry, you're a filmmaker, people thrive in that. We go with the flow, we go with the energy. But sometimes the energy may come after 2 years. So does it mean we'll be waiting for a spark? No. So I think culture does not mean bureaucracy. Culture does not mean informality. Culture is just about the space you want to create for the people that work there. And culture has an impact on how people interact with your
Interact,
product.
yeah.
So it's rare that a product will say it's fun, but when you go internally, everyone is so serious and stiff. Eventually, even the
product
fun of
will-
that product,
will be
yeah,
stiff.
exactly. So for me, I think it's about balancing that. So I would say culture is looking at the environment
Yeah.
you've created, physical and emotional.
Yeah.
Then looking at how do you make decisions. So what are your standard processes? Yeah. Do you have a culture of empowerment?
Yes.
Have you told people, hey guys, if you need to run to an errand during the day, it's fine.
yeah.
Just let your manager know you stepped out as long as you deliver what you committed to. So that's a culture of trust where we are saying we believe if you have to leave the office, it's so important that it will affect your work while you're in the office. So we trust you that you've not gone to hang out with your friends
Yeah.
or you've not gone to watch a movie during the day. We believe we are going to take you as adults and trust you to do that. If you try that in a high school, you'll be very shocked. So you can tell your students that,
Yeah.
hey guys, if you need to pop out of class anytime, we believe, oh yeah, there'll be no one in school.
Yeah,
So in
exactly.
school, you need a bell, you need that, because at that stage in life, your organization being an education system has to be that. University of Nairobi or KU, no one forces you to attend class.
Yeah.
As long as you hit your grades, meet your paperwork. So they're not going to follow you.
Yeah.
Some universities are different. They tell you miss 3 classes,
You're out.
you're out.
Yeah.
So their culture is about participation, collaboration. It's not just about the grade. For them, it's about the holistic university experience.
Yeah.
So that's your culture. And ultimately, culture draws people.
Yes.
So I think people
pulls
look
them
at
away.
or pulls them away.
Yeah.
So if let's say you like reggae music, reggae has its own subculture.
Yeah,
Or
it
a
does.
culture in of itself.
Yeah.
How they dress, how they talk, how they see the world, how they make decisions about things. If someone offends them, they are
What they
quicker to
eat.
forgive maybe.
Yeah.
Another culture is about revenge. If someone does this to you, you need to send a message. You need to show you're in charge. So that's another culture. Another person may believe Christianity has its culture,
Yeah.
Islam, Buddhism. So everything has its culture. Then we have the ones that are at more at an ethnic level. So you're drawn by different cultures. So it's that whole combination of things. So in a traditional setting, if you offend someone, your goats cross over and eat the neighbor's maize. How are decisions made? That's
Yeah.
a cultural, you see. So that's why I like the concept of culture is about how we make decisions.
How we make decisions,
and
yeah.
decisions include how we treat people,
Yeah.
how we react to situations.
Yeah.
And this culture is every organization has a culture, whether you intend to or not. It
Yes,
is there.
that's true.
So you what you want to do is actually kind of curate it and make sure it's the one that you want. If you leave it to chance, one will grow,
Okay.
one will form, and
Yeah.
it may not be the one that you
Yeah.
had intended.
I like that. Leave it to chance. So organizations need to be intentional about the culture because I mean I don't believe like you can leave your culture to chance. You need to decide what your culture will be. Like for example, as you said, if you're looking for a DJ, you don't expect someone to come in a suit. So how do organizations get the right culture and the right fit? Because I feel sometimes also there's a mix. Like a bank would want to be a Google, where you can't really do that. How do you
Yeah.
get that
The balance.
balance
And,
and that right fit for
Yeah.
based on the space that you are in?
yeah.
Yeah.
I think I'll revert to the first part about what industry are you in, what product, what service do you offer. So as a humanitarian organization, would want a culture where we are considerate, we help people. So that's a culture you want, a culture of people always kind of, can I say, reaching out
Yeah.
or stepping out in the place, always offering a helping hand. So if that's what your organization is about, say for example, Red Cross,
Yeah.
that must also be for your staff
In the
in the organization. So if Julian is having a tummy ache, if Julian is having a crisis at home, if we are indeed about that, how do we live it internally as well?
Exactly.
How do we show that this is what we believe, this is what we do? Now, a culture has to be declared.
declared.
A
Okay.
culture has to be articulated.
Yeah.
Right? So it means literally telling people, this is what we believe in.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is how we
These
treat
are our
people.
mission, these are our
These
values.
yes, these are our values. This is the tone we want. So it could be in our organization, we don't shout. In our organization, everyone is given a chance to speak. In our organization, every opinion matters.
Yeah.
Now, when you're in the next board meeting and the chairman or
Starts
chairwoman of the board starts shouting,
shouting.
someone needs to say, hey, We
Those
are
are
not
not
about that. We understand you're frustrated. We understand we are in a loss. We understand we botched a big project. But we still recognize you can still express your dissatisfaction without shouting.
Yeah.
Easier said than done.
Yes.
So the reason it has to be articulated, and how we spoke about even staff engagement, it also has to start from the top.
Yes.
So the founder has to truly believe. So it's not about, I enter many offices, and sorry to poke holes at the government, but the number of times I enter ministry buildings, and at the entrance, our values, service to the public,
Lies.
putting the citizens first,
Lies.
quick turnaround, and you read it and I was thinking, my God, even getting to this office, it's taken me 3 months of haggling and begging and pleading. So when you read that, you're repulsed by it because it's not true.
It's not true, yeah.
So for me, it's internally sitting and saying, this is what we believe in, this is what we are about, and then continuously reinforcing it by action, reinforcing it by behavior. So culture is not an event where you'll say, hey
Yeah, it's
guys,
not, yeah.
from tomorrow, we are loving organization. Then tomorrow, oh, we are so nice. How are you doing? Did you sleep well? It doesn't work that way.
Yeah.
But if genuinely, I keep seeing it, and you see what happens, the best time to build a culture is at the beginning.
Yes.
So once you hire your first person, whatever culture you see forming, they are feeding off of you. Feeding off of you as a leader, off of your department. And even it has been known in some organizations, you'll find people say, I didn't like the culture of the organization, but I love the culture of our team. So there are leaders who are able to create a bubble and say, in our team, yes, there are rest of the organization. Even in government, there are departments you interact with and you're saying, my goodness, this is government.
Great.
Even police, there are sometimes you have a situation and you go to a police station and they're like, my goodness, there are good police, rather than the general rule that no, they can't come through. But the truth is, even within those small pockets, there are people who are trying to create. So the challenge is sometimes they are part of such a large behemoth that small fire is not enough to grow. So starting with a leader, you must start interrogating and saying, what kind of organization do we want to be? First for our people, because this is I mean, you spend most of your life in the organization. And then you grow. Even at a family level, your family has a culture, like it or not.
It does.
The one you belong to before you started your own has a culture. And you'll find people saying, hey, my family are crazy. Or my family, they are so outgoing. My family, they really get upset. So it's because you've observed over time. And I always joke, that's why our parents used to say, you need to know their family before you fall in love. Why? Because they believe that culture rubs off on all the members who are there. Football has a culture. Rugby has a culture. Golf has a culture. So there are these behaviors, rituals, practices, beliefs that now form that society. So what you're creating in your company, you may have 3 employees, 5, but one day you'll have 100, 1,000. So for you to be able to say, I work for Google in Nairobi, but I'm still a Google person. Yet I have never gone to Google head office. I've never met the founders. But how do you trickle that? Because when you join the company, there's a book you read, there are videos you watch, there are policies, and those policies are founded on their belief system. So they'll be able to tell you, if anytime you feel your boss makes a remark, you feel you're being harassed, this is your protocol.
This is what you need to do,
There's an office, anonymous hotline. There's that. That tells you they believe that, they know employees' happiness or satisfaction is paramount, and they prove it. Rather than you saying on one hand up here, we are a family business, but the truth is when you actually try to confront, because a true family, I should be able to tell my sibling, and I shouldn't worry about being fired from the family.
Yeah, true.
You see, we may disagree, but I will be a member of the family forever.
You speak your
so
truth.
How do you create that environment where we say, it's okay, whatever you say, no victimization. Even me as the boss, if I say something and you feel, nope, I don't think that's a good idea, you bring your facts, we have an objective conversation, and the best idea wins. Whether it's from an entry-level staff member or someone on the board, but it's about the best ideas. And you'll have said the best ideas win. And people see, wow, did you hear that the new product packaging was an idea from the security guard? No way. So what will you do to the rest of the team? People will say, oh my God, let me share my idea. But if we notice that it's only Wangari, it's only Julian's ideas that fly, even if you sing from the mountaintop that, hey guys, how come you're not giving us ideas? No one will ever bother.
Exactly.
You see? So if you wonder why are people not doing this, check, it has something to do with your culture. And culture is a very unusual thing. Like, I think you've had the analogy of how this experiment where monkeys are put in a cage and every time the bell rings or something, one monkey is really flogged. I don't know
Yeah.
if you've had that experiment. So what they do, they keep introducing monkeys. Over time, they stop flogging the monkeys. But all they know, every time you hear the bell, just start wailing.
Yeah.
But they've never known why they wail. But it's
Oh,
because
because
the
yeah.
first monkey is the one that used to be beaten and wailed. So us, we've joined 5 years later, but
And
we've
we
just been told, hey, when the boss comes, we don't
don't
talk.
talk.
But
Yeah.
no one has ever told you, why don't you
Why?
talk?
Yeah.
So what do? You just blend in. It's
Yeah.
safe.
Yeah.
I don't want to rock the boat. I really need this job. Then you wonder, in meetings, every time I ask everyone, are we clear? Any questions? And then you say, my company, they are dull,
They
they are
don't
flat.
talk,
You see
yeah,
now, yeah.
yeah.
So you should ask yourself, so if that's the intended culture, it's fine.
So be it.
So
Yeah.
be it. Yeah, like in the military, you do shoot first, ask questions. Yeah, because of its espionage, its secret information. So and you have to trust your generals that if your general says do something, it's in the interest of the country, interest of the team. So, but you have to get to that level of trust. And you'll find even in the army, they've gone, you respect your boss because you've been told they've gone to war 5-6 times. So if
Yeah.
they're telling you this, or a surgeon is saying, just add this drug, you
you'll
trust that the doctor has done this many times, they are trained, and accountability falls on them. And if the patient is better, then you begin to build that culture of knowing if the doc says we listen. Because can you imagine, I wouldn't want I'm on the operating theater and that's the time a nurse feels he needs to now discuss with the surgeon and say, actually,
I
don't think that's a good idea.
Actually,
I was online yesterday and there's a new procedure. I don't think you want that conversation to happen. I want clarity. I want to be sure how decisions are being made. Then after sewn up, you can go have a process where you say, doc, I think I would have done this. Or I saw this other surgeon, Mary, she does it differently and the recovery rate is faster, whatever. Then you can have those conversations. So it's about creating all those systems where bureaucracy applies. Have you created spaces where people can let loose and just
be
open up?
innovative
Yeah, absolutely. So for me, culture, there's no good or bad culture. It is only you, the leader, who can say, are you happy with the culture?
Yeah.
If you like the culture as is, that's fine. So as a Pablo Escobar, a drug dealer, I want anytime someone makes a mistake, instant death. So that's a culture I want. So if I hear stories that we forgave them, we grew up together, that's a bad culture for me. So human-wise, it's good, but for their business they're in, so it works. And that's why he built this empire, cartel, probably the greatest we've ever had. But even if he was in the illegal industry, very clear culture. Hitler had a very strong
clear,
culture.
exactly.
So you see, culture is just a powerful tool. Now, hopefully you use it for the right things.
The right reasons. Okay. So interesting. You said there's no good or bad culture. But like you often hear like people when they experience like, especially like in the workplace, they're like, yo, no, the culture there is not great, or I don't know. I wanted us to just speak about that because I personally feel there's good culture and there's bad culture.
Toxic culture.
Yeah, toxic culture. If I put that strong term to it. So let's just.
Well, mine is, and forgive me, mine is relatively binary. In terms of, for me, I feel, and I'm approaching this. I'm going to suspend life's problems. Assuming we don't work to pay bills.
Okay.
We're just working for the job.
Because we love it.
Yeah, we love it, or you enjoy working, you enjoy your thing. Like me, I believe I was born to be a dancer. It's just that
really?
our industry, so I work because I have to. But what I would say is that, for example, I'm always fascinated, even in companies that maybe for you feel toxic, there are people still applying to join the company.
True.
People who've stayed there 10, 15, 20 years.
True.
So there's something it's doing for them.
Yeah.
So I prefer to ask people to frame and say that culture is not working for me. So it's not that the culture is bad.
Yeah.
It's just not for your values. But for the people who are there, because the company is existing.
It's still operational.
It was there. It's continuing.
Yeah.
Sometimes you are a co-founder. And you had a certain vision for what the company could be. Then one day you wake up and you realize, this is not what I signed up for. So it means, and remember, humans are in constant change.
Yeah.
So sometimes you'll find you are a certain type of person, you've changed. So just to give an example, maybe you worked for an organization. When you joined or when you started the organization, you are aligned with those values. But over time, you change, your belief system changes. I don't think it's fair to go back and accuse the organization and say, no, 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 what you're doing is wrong.
Yeah.
If you feel it's something that can change and say, hey, people, when we started, we said this is how we are going to operate. Now we are here. What's going on? Some people would say, no, you're an enemy of progress. Times have changed. You're in a bubble. That doesn't happen anymore in this century, whatever. Because remember, there could be someone who is saying what is toxic to you is not toxic to me.
Yeah.
So when you look at government, for example, government has become very agile. They're trying. Departments here and there. There's a face of government. It's not like before that was so archaic and closed. Yeah, but there are people who hate that. There are people who say
It's
so.
better
The
to
reason
keep it
government isn't moving development is because of we became too friendly with the people.
Yeah.
We became too familiar. It's the law. The law must be followed. All right. So there could be someone saying judiciary is toxic, but actually, what they're referring to is a system we don't want as the people.
Yeah.
Or maybe that is not progressive. So for me, I always say even toxicity. So beyond what is unethical and illegal, sexual harassment,
Yeah.
being whipped, being refused food, those beyond those ones. Because when you look at industries like financial services, stock traders, it's a ruthless advertising industry. Ruthless industry. But that's how the industry is.
It's a culture.
It is a culture of that industry. So you can say I'm a designer, but when I looked at that industry, I didn't like it. So I've decided to design for another sector that is more in line with my values. So there's nothing wrong per se with that company.
It's just
you who is not. Because there's someone there who says, oh my God, I love this job. I love the tension. I love the power dynamics. I love playing the political game. Just the same way, many of us Kenyans would want to serve in government, but when we sit and look at political parties, we look at the government system, we say, let me just do my thing, you see? But in essence, the government as it is, even whatever we like or not like, it's a representation of the people. That culture, you see it even in estate committees. It's hotter than parliament. So you can tell this is Kenyans. This is who we are. You see churches ousting, doing coups on a pastor, and you're wondering, wait a minute, are we not all loving, all forgiving? You see? So it tells you a lot about the culture of the people. So for me, it's about saying that company doesn't work for me. And let me look for something. So, of course, try and fix it, try and challenge it, but also be aware that sometimes it's not the company that's a problem. It's you who's changed. Or maybe you joined, maybe they also presented themselves a certain way. Then when you enter, you realize it's not what it is. Then now here comes a piece around tolerance. How much can you tolerate? Some people say, you know what, I do accounts, it's okay. But if they want to be rude and mean, it's fine. Me, I know I came to do my accounts and I'm not going to hang out with people. 5 o'clock, I'm out. And it's good. It's good for my career CV. It's good. It pays well. So I've chosen not to get involved because also there are people who join companies and want to feel and engage everyone and understand every dynamic there. And it's okay. It's a personality type. So you better go to one that you can connect. But if you go to one where no one sees you as a person, but just as the job you're here to do, then that's not a place for you. And you need to quickly look for an alternative. Interesting.
So I guess, is there anything else you wanted to? I think we've talked about a lot. I think you've definitely highlighted that culture is owned and the responsibility of the leaders, the CEOs. Anything else you wanted to speak on this culture topic?
Interesting. Well, there's a lot to say about it.
I mean, yes.
But I think maybe there's something you touched on. Maybe we could dive into a little when you said how culture has to be taken like it's a daily process.
Yes.
So culture many times, and like we said, culture is developing every day either way, whether or not you are intentional or you just let go with the flow. And I think what I would say is that when we say culture is a daily process, the same way you look at your sales figures, you look at your project status, you have to be looking at how are we doing on our culture metrics. How are we doing on our policies, our belief systems? Is this the culture that we want? People, and this is part of also your tracking sentiments in the organization. Because for me, if I see my security guard finding someone jumping over the fence and they clobber them and until the person blacks out, I'm going to ask myself, wow. Okay, we don't store nuclear weapons here. We are just a service business. So why did the security guard feel so strong and intense that they had to go that far.
Yeah.
Is that our culture? No. I would not want that. So forget the PR and the scandal. Just ask ourselves, why have they reacted that way?
Yeah.
You know, if someone has made a mistake and they're shouting down the whole office, what message is it sending? And I'll
the
be able to
rest.
say, nope, I don't want to be, like personally, I don't shout. I'm not a shouting person. Even if I'm upset, I never raise my voice. And I find it very demeaning because I believe loud volume should be reserved only for the animal kingdom because it actually matters. The louder you are, the more you startle them. But a human being, I have never seen the correlation between,
Shouting
other than an
and-
emergency, like watch out, you're going to fall. But something work related, I'm always like, it cannot be that serious that I have to shout, because to me, shouting is my emotion. And
Yeah.
it has nothing to do with the situation. That's just me. So if I bring someone on board, an assistant or a very strong performer in the team leader, maybe top salesperson doubles our sales, but I hear them shouting
Yeah.
at the team members.
Yeah.
Now, culture, that's where the rubber meets the road. Where I'll be
Yes.
able to say,
A high performer, but
yeah,
yeah.
Wangari are a high performer. However, culture is more important to me than
Yes.
sales. Now, that's where the nexus is. Many companies,
Can't do
that
that.
doesn't matter.
Yep.
But what I know is over time, if you don't take care of your culture, they say culture eats strategy for breakfast. Yeah.
Lunch
So it
and
doesn't
dinner.
matter how great a plan you have, how great your processes are. If your culture is not optimized, if your team are not thriving, it doesn't matter what you do. At some point, it's going to catch up with you. So it may look like, no, just bring the toxic boss as long as they deliver. In fact, you'll say, I love him, I love her. He pushes people to the limits. Yeah. Eventually, people are pushed to the limits and then out. Then
yeah.
one day, you'll be left with your toxic manager,
Can't
but
do
you don't
anything.
have a team.
Yeah.
And what goes around?
Yeah.
I've seen companies that recruit 3-4 times.
Yeah,
they put an
exactly.
advert after
like,
3
why-
months, and you wonder why is no one applying. Because people have talked, and at
Yeah.
a certain levels, people ask, hey, how come you're not working at 9 to 5? We'll say, oh my God, you should know Wangari.
Yeah.
It's impossible
Yeah.
to work with her. And
I'm
you'll
not,
be
by the way.
struggling. No, she's not. She's not. Yeah. So those are the kind of things. That's the impact of culture. So
Yeah.
what I would say is culture, staff engagement, and performance. Anything. If you want your team to thrive, take it as deeply as you do any other thing on a daily basis. But most people address culture when it's taken root.
Exactly.
Now, when you're seeing the bad
when
fruits.
it's too late
Yes,
sometimes.
so it's a lot of work on doing that.
So how does a company even shift that? Because I also feel like sometimes even getting the wrong leaders
Yeah.
or the wrong people into leadership can really shift the culture if they're powerful and strong enough. So how do you start shifting it or trying to
Yeah.
rebirth it and renew it?
I think it's almost as difficult as going for like family therapy. It's a lot of work.
It's a lot of work. Yeah.
It's a lot of work and a lot of investment. Yeah.
Yeah.
And what I mean by investment is you will even do some things
Yeah.
that are counterintuitive, but for the purpose of proving that we are serious about this culture change.
Like what?
So just to give an example of, say you said, hey, we want to create an open culture. We want to create a culture where all ideas matter,
Yeah.
for example. So it would mean at your next meeting, you literally allow people to speak and you take it all in.
Yeah.
And you accept to be vilified by your staff.
Yeah.
You accept there's always be that one person who is bold and courageous and say, by the way, this company, you guys are going nowhere. We are boring.
Yeah.
We will never hit the competition, and just take it all in.
Take it in, yeah.
And literally the next day wake up and still greet everyone like nothing happened yesterday.
Yeah.
But what tends to happen? Victimization.
Yeah.
You notice in your calendar, everyone in the team has gone for a meeting. You
Apart
are
from
not
you.
called. It's those subtle, what a Cold War tactics. So that's one thing. Then if you'd say something like I remember I was given a story of a company here in Nairobi, and it's a factory.
Yeah.
And a lot of factories have the standard. You have the owners and then you have the floor.
Yeah.
Basically people on the floor. Now the workers, literally blue collars, blue collar team. And this company, the boss always tell people, so they got a new director and used to say, in this company, we are all equal and we believe we are the same. So I have different privileges. I went to better schools, born in a better family. Doesn't make me different.
Yeah.
Once we enter this door, we are a team.
Yeah.
So, and they'd been talking about that. So one of the first order of business they did, so they used to provide meals for the staff at lunchtime because it's in an industrial park. There are no restaurants there. So before, senior management used to be served food in the dining room.
Yeah,
They had the
okay.
staff, management, then you had the floor. First thing the new boss did, he closed the
Close
dining
that,
room, said we are
everybody.
all eating downstairs. So of course the food improved in like 2 days, because now suddenly,
I
if the
love that,
kitchen
yeah.
staff used to cook very dull and bland
And now
food,
they're learning
now
that.
the CEO is going, the owner is going to
love
be
that,
eating.
yeah.
Now everyone enjoys. So
Yeah.
there's no day you'll be told, today there's no sugar.
None.
Procurement didn't. Procurement will find a way,
They'll
because
find
they
sugar.
know. Can you imagine telling the boss, "I'm sorry, sir, we ran out of sugar," and
Yeah.
they're there like saying, "Why? I
Yeah.
didn't say no." So what happened? That changed. Then the boss started rotating and created a new rule and said, now managers will no longer be sitting together. So all managers rotate on the tables. So
Oh,
today
nice.
I sit with this department, maybe the caliper tires, that will be to the packaging team. And what happens? The two things happen. The team stops seeing management as a deity or some special demigod. Then the demigods realize these are people like you and I, your families.
Yeah,
We have problems at home with our spouses. We love sports together.
Yeah.
Now, can you imagine the culture, what starts happening in the company? Now, people start believing, actually, we are a team.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they were able to transform the company.
I love that.
And now people, before you'd find someone, there'll be a tap running, no one turns
Yeah,
it
they
off.
don't
They're
care.
like,
Now it's
it's
just
not my
like
job. In any case,
ownership.
yeah, when we need help, you're never there. So what happens? You have a culture of wastage,
Yeah.
a culture of apathy. But it's because you at the top, you've shown them, you guys mean nothing to us. You see? But if you keep singing, you mean something to us, we are equal, we are partnership, and then you leave it.
Yep,
Trust me,
it changes.
it's transformative. And what happened? The company started moving ahead. People started coming up with ideas. You'll find someone saying, you know what, we've been doing this process, but actually we've been talking to each other and realized if we did this other way around,
process, and they've done that
you see now, and
themselves,
what
yeah.
happens? You save money and you tell them, hey guys, come up with another good idea. I'm going to add your bonus.
Oh, beautiful.
Suddenly now, every
like
day, people will come to work and they see that I'm part of saving the company money. I'm part of growing the business. And you find even some organizations, I'm sure you've met people who work in a company and they live and breathe that brand.
Yeah.
It's a company
I
of
love that. It's like a
hundreds.
cult.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
you're wondering, really?
How?
Yeah, but
Yeah.
that person is so invested. Why?
Yeah.
Because they believe the company is just as invested in them.
Yeah.
Then there are people, you'll tell them, hey, you work at 9 to 5, you say, I don't even want to talk about it. You know,
Yeah.
you don't even know. And yet your team are your biggest ambassadors.
Exactly.
Your strongest salespeople, your strongest networkers. So if your team are always whining and complaining out there, don't think your PR campaign, your advertising campaign will take care of that. It won't.
Yeah, it
That's
won't.
the truth. That's the reality. So it's about thinking of when you say you want a certain type of culture, you define it, you articulate it, then you embed it in the team, then you start living
You
it.
start living
so you
it.
can't be saying this is what we believe in, but on this other hand, it's not happening. And that's what culture is about. And think about it, yeah? The strongest cultures in the world have taken how many years to develop?
Quite a long
Yes,
time.
hundreds of years, some of them.
Yep.
So you can't start today and then say in December,
Expect
oh,
it.
my culture isn't working. No, it's a long and slow process. And that's why
And I think sometimes it's not even linear.
absolutely.
Like it's just not, yeah.
That's the thing. And,
Yeah.
and there'll be moments to affirm your culture.
Yeah.
So there's every day you come to work, then something will happen.
Yeah, like, wow.
Someone is unwell, and you'll say, hey, guys, Wangari is unwell today. I'm going to see her in hospital. And they're saying, what? The CEO is going to see the Nini. And I said, guys, we're all equal. But if a senior director is sick, hey, flowers are sent. I don't know. The driver is told now,
Yeah.
But when it's a lower level employee,
like-
the treatment is not the same. So it doesn't mean you do it all the time and it's not practical, but it's the intent.
Yeah.
So what I would say, culture is about consistency. And just to give you an example, in Kenya, we drive very badly on our roads. Okay? But when you look at the people who should enforce the law, the police, government officials, they're always driving on the wrong side, jumping red lights. So if that's the culture, so they can't be telling us on one hand, behave this way,
Yeah.
but they're doing the opposite.
Yeah.
We will see what you do, not what you say.
Yeah.
All right. And if you create that culture, like the president of Rwanda, Kagame,
Yeah.
he had said he's all about saving costs on government excesses.
Yeah.
And he said that ministers will have one vehicle. He said him you'll have, I think, only 4 vehicles, something like that.
Yeah.
And I remember he passed the rule. And of course, no one acted on it. So I understand what he used to do randomly every like 2 weeks. You just stop at major highways. And when he sees a convoy coming, he flags them down. And he tells the minister, I thought we said one vehicle. So he says, you only need one driver, one security, and you, that's it.
Yeah.
There's nothing illegal, there's nothing serious you're doing, there's no one
Yeah.
after your life. These are the vehicles, redeploy them.
yeah.
And he just needed to do it for a while. But he himself had a small convoy.
Yeah.
So he sent a message. But you can imagine he's telling us, oh, you need to save, and then he still has 40 cars.
Yeah.
We will see, we will believe what he's doing.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's why sometimes you find government makes many declarations on things, and people, we watch just the
like,
way we
yeah.
watch a comedy show.
Yeah.
I mean, it's for that moment. So if you really want to see things change, you have to be deliberate. You have to continue to do it over and over. Then people
Consistency.
begin to believe, okay, something has changed. Okay, like this thing is real. This thing is legit.
Yeah.
Then is when culture starts to change. So even in Kenya, our culture of, say, corruption, kitu kidogo, I mean, it started in the 30s or 40s. You know, from the
Yes.
colonials to the headmen to the senior chiefs.
Yep.
So there's no way we'll change it with 1 year of doing advertising campaigns. Say no to corruption. That can't work.
Yeah.
It starts at the top.
Yeah.
The day we start seeing real, like, people being arrested, we start seeing,
Yeah.
okay, wow, that project was cancelled. Wow, that person was disbarred from doing business again. Hey, then people realize this thing is really happening. Then what will happen over time? People now will, and you sustain it for long.
Yeah.
Not you do it for 1 month. Then
Yeah.
after 3 months, you hear your most important aide is behind the scandal. We will never take you seriously. So then that's the same concept even in an organization. Yeah.
Yeah.
And sorry to equate us to animals, but even when animals are being domesticated or trained, inconsistency is what kills an animal's
Yeah, that's
ability
so true.
to learn skills, you
Yeah.
see? And even children, even parents, you know, if
Yeah.
you're feeding your child, if you want them to eat in a certain way, sleep at a certain time, if it's
Consistency.
8
Do it
o'clock,
every
it's
day.
8 and 8. Then even at that 7:30, they'll start yawning.
Themselves.
They'll even feel, hey, it's bedtime. So culture, whatever industry you're in, even the matatu culture as we know it was not as bad.
Yeah.
When growing up, it was not as chaotic.
Yeah.
You know, then day by day, it just started changing. But there was no one really observing. Now it's gone so far deep. They do anything they want to do on the roads. And then no one is saying, wow, what do we do about this matatu culture? But we should have nipped it back then. You
yeah.
see? Even now it is salvageable, but you can imagine the amount
of work it will
work,
take to bring it
intention, and if I can say honesty to say that we want to change. So I hear the owners association saying, no, we've created circles, now we want to bring discipline. It's held for a few months, then it defaulted because it starts, but if no one is there to be the custodian, and sometimes it requires you to even have a culture committee in the organization who just keeps the organization accountable, where you can pull the boss aside and say, boss, you know, we've been singing to everyone that we believe in equal treatment. We believe in everyone having a right of reply. We believe in everyone being able to appeal a decision. But you're not for supporting that, you know. So you tell us either if you want us to drop that idea or that value, or we do it. It's either or. But don't keep repeating it and then
there's nothing being done.
Then it's never gonna work.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Cool. Is there any parting words you want to speak on culture? I know it's a big topic. We can be here forever, but I think you've really done a great job in summarizing and talking about the key elements of it. Yeah.
I think maybe if you forget everything I've said, culture is consistency.
I love that.
Whether good or bad.
Yeah.
So what you do consistently becomes culture.
Yeah. Awesome. Cool.
Yeah.
So that was Julian. And as he said and summarized, culture is all about consistency. Another thing that I quite liked what he said is when you're going into an organization, be sure to understand the culture and evaluate whether it aligns to your values. Because I feel sometimes that's where it gets tough when your organization and you have a different value system and culture. But thank you so much. Again, please share, subscribe, leave comments, and thank you for watching. Until next time, see ya.